I knew something was wrong the moment she froze when I walked into the kitchen. Not the normal kind of freeze, like when someone is surprised. No. This was the kind where a person's entire body stiffens like they've just been caught doing something they shouldn't. Her phone slipped slightly in her hand, and she turned the screen away from me too quickly. That was the first moment my gut told me something was very, very wrong. My wife and I had been married for 6 years. We met when we were both broke college students, sharing cheap pizza and late-night drives. She used to laugh at everything I said, even the stupid jokes. Back then I thought I had found the one person who would always be on my side. But over the past few months, things had changed. She started going out more. Girls' nights, she called them. At first I didn't think much of it. People need their space, right? But the nights started getting longer. Midnight became 1 a.m. Then 2 a.m. And when she came home, she smelled different. Not like alcohol. Like someone else's cologne. I remember the first time I noticed it. I asked her casually where she'd been, and she laughed it off. "Relax," she said. "You're being paranoid." And for a while, I believed her. Because the alternative was something I didn't want to face. But little things started piling up. Her phone suddenly had a passcode when it never did before. She started taking calls in the other room. If I walked in, the conversation would immediately stop. One night I woke up around 3 a.m. and noticed she wasn't in bed. I walked downstairs and saw the light from her phone glowing in the living room. She was smiling at the screen. Not just smiling. That kind of smile you only give someone you're excited to talk to. When she noticed me standing there, she jumped like I had scared her. "Just texting Sarah," she said quickly. But I knew Sarah. Sarah went to sleep at 10 p.m. That was the moment the doubt in my head stopped being a whisper and started becoming a voice. I tried to ignore it for weeks. I told myself I was overthinking. That relationships go through phases. But deep down I already knew. People don't hide things when they have nothing to hide. Then one evening everything shifted. She said she was going out again. Another girls' night. But this time something felt different. She took longer than usual getting ready. New dress. Makeup she hadn't worn in months. Perfume she normally saved for special occasions. I asked her where they were going. She barely looked at me. Just a bar downtown. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Before leaving, she gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. It felt rushed. Almost like an obligation. Then she was gone. I stood in the kitchen for a long time after the door closed. Something in my chest felt heavy. That voice in my head kept repeating the same thought over and over. Follow her. I tried to shake it off. Following your own wife felt insane. Like something out of a bad movie. But another thought hit me. If everything was normal, then I'd find nothing. And the feeling in my chest would finally go away. So 10 minutes later, I grabbed my keys. I told myself I just needed the truth. No matter what it was. I got in my car and started the engine. And that decision ended up changing everything. Because what I saw that night proved that my instincts had been right all along. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cause a scene. No. I was going to do something much worse. Something she never saw coming. And by the time she realized what was happening, it was already too late. I stayed far enough behind her car that she wouldn't notice me. At first, everything looked normal. She drove exactly in the direction of the bar she had mentioned earlier. For a second I actually felt stupid for following her. I even started thinking about turning around. Maybe I really was paranoid. Maybe I was about to destroy my own marriage because of a stupid feeling. But then she passed the street where the bar was. She didn't even slow down. My stomach immediately tightened. She kept driving another 10 minutes until she reached a quieter part of town. The kind of neighborhood filled with small apartment buildings and barely any streetlights. Then she pulled into a parking lot. And my heart sank when I saw that she was smiling again. That same smile she had when she was texting late at night. She didn't even go inside right away. She stayed in the car for a moment, fixing her hair in the mirror, adjusting her dress. Like someone preparing to meet a date. I parked a little farther down the street and watched. 2 minutes later a man walked out of the building. He looked around quickly. Then he walked straight to her car. She opened the door and stepped out. And before I could even process what was happening, she kissed him. Not a friendly kiss. Not a quick hello. The kind of kiss that leaves absolutely no room for misunderstanding. In that moment everything inside me went quiet. No yelling. No anger. Just a strange, heavy calm. Because suddenly all the small lies made sense. The late nights. The hidden phone. The mysterious girls' nights. She wasn't meeting friends. She was meeting him. They laughed about something, and he wrapped his arm around her waist like he had done it 1,000 times before. Then they walked inside together. I sat there in the car for a long time staring at the apartment building. Part of me wanted to run upstairs and kick the door in. I imagined the scene 100 times in my head. Catching them in the act. Watching the shock on their faces. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized something. If I did that, I'd only give her the chance to twist the story. She could cry. She could lie. She could somehow make it my fault. No. If I was going to deal with this, I was going to do it the right way. Calmly. Carefully. I took out my phone and snapped a few photos of the building. Then I waited another 20 minutes. Eventually they came back outside. They looked comfortable together. Too comfortable. Like this wasn't the first time. He kissed her again before she got back in her car. She laughed and lightly pushed his chest before driving away. Watching that moment hurt more than anything. Because it confirmed what I already knew. My wife wasn't making a mistake. She was living a second life. I followed her home again. This time I didn't feel nervous anymore. I felt focused. She walked inside acting completely normal. "Hey," she said casually when she saw me sitting on the couch. "How was your night?" I looked at her for a moment. The same woman who had just been kissing another man was now standing in front of me pretending nothing happened. "Pretty quiet," I said. She nodded and walked past me toward the bedroom. "I'm exhausted," she said. "Girls' nights are getting too old for me." I almost laughed when I heard that. But I kept my face calm. Because at that moment she had no idea what I knew. And that was exactly how I wanted it. Over the next few days, I started paying attention to everything. Every lie. Every excuse. Every suspicious message. The truth was that once you know someone is cheating, the signs become impossible to ignore. And the more I watched, the more obvious it became that this had been going on for a long time. But I wasn't rushing anything. Because a plan had started forming in my head. A quiet, patient plan. I didn't want revenge that lasted 5 minutes. I wanted something that would stay with her for the rest of her life. And the best part? She was going to walk straight into it herself. All I had to do was wait. Once you see the truth, it becomes impossible to unsee it. After that night, every little thing she did felt different. The way she smiled at her phone. The way she suddenly started guarding it like it contained state secrets. The way she would casually mention another girls' night without even looking at me. But the strange thing was, I didn't feel the anger I expected. Instead, I felt cold. Like something inside me had quietly shut down. I stopped arguing with her. I stopped asking questions. I stopped caring where she said she was going. And that seemed to make her comfortable. Comfortable enough to get careless. Over the next 2 weeks I watched everything. She met him 3 more times. Same apartment building. Same routine. Drive there. Fix her hair in the mirror. Walk inside like she owned the place. And every time, I sat in my car a few streets away thinking about the same thing. Not about screaming. Not about fighting. About timing. Because if I was going to end this marriage, I wasn't going to let her walk away thinking she had won. I wanted her to feel exactly what she had done. Then one evening something interesting happened. She walked into the living room with a big smile. "The company is having a dinner next Friday," she said. "Employees can bring their partners." She looked at me like she expected me to refuse. But I immediately nodded. "Sure. Sounds good." For a split second she looked surprised. Then she smiled again. "Great. It'll be fun. Fun. That word almost made me laugh. Because she had no idea what I had just decided. The next few days I started preparing. First, I went back to that apartment building one more time. This time I didn't stay in the car. I waited until she went inside with him, then I walked up to the building entrance. The lobby door was unlocked. Inside, the mailboxes were all lined up near the wall. And it only took me about 10 seconds to find his name. Apartment 214. So now I had everything I needed. A name. An address. And proof. Over the last couple weeks I had taken photos. Not just of the building, but of them together. Walking inside. Kissing in the parking lot. Standing way too close to each other. Enough that no one could deny what was happening. But I didn't send them to her. I didn't send them to him. I saved them. Because Friday was coming. The night of the company dinner arrived quickly. She spent almost 2 hours getting ready. New dress. New heels. Hair perfect. Perfume strong enough that I could smell it across the room. You look nice tonight, she said while adjusting her earrings. You too, I replied. And I meant it. Because she looked exactly like someone who had absolutely no idea what was about to happen. The dinner was held in a large restaurant downtown. One of those places companies rent out for events. There were maybe 50 people there. Coworkers. Managers. A few spouses. Everyone chatting, laughing, drinking wine. She introduced me to a few of her colleagues, and I played along perfectly. Smiling. Shaking hands. Making small talk. And then I saw him. Standing near the bar. Apartment 214. The moment our eyes met, something clicked in my head. Of course. He worked with her. That explained everything. The late work events. The mysterious schedule. The constant texting. He looked at me for a second like he was trying to figure out who I was. Then my wife walked over and hugged him. Right in front of me. Have you met Jake? She said casually. I extended my hand. Nice to meet you. He shook it. Firm grip. Confident smile. A man who had absolutely no idea that I knew everything. The three of us talked for a few minutes like normal adults. If anyone had been watching, they would have thought we were just coworkers meeting for the first time. Eventually everyone sat down for dinner. Halfway through the night, the company director stood up to give a speech. People clapped politely. And that was the moment I decided it was time. I stood up from my chair. At first no one noticed. Then a few people looked over. My wife gave me a confused look. What are you doing? She whispered. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the large screen that the company had been using for presentations earlier. Someone near the front looked surprised. Do you need something? One of the managers asked. I nodded calmly. Yeah. Just a quick presentation. The room got quiet. My wife was staring at me now. Completely confused. Then the first photo appeared on the screen. Her. Kissing Jake in the parking lot. For a moment no one said anything. Then a few people gasped. My wife's face went completely pale. The next photo appeared. Them walking into the apartment building together. Another one. Him holding her waist. The entire room had gone silent. I looked at Jake. He looked like someone had just poured ice water down his back. Then I looked at my wife. She was shaking her head slowly. No, this isn't. But I didn't raise my voice. I didn't yell. I just spoke calmly. Apartment 214, I said. Nice place. You could hear people whispering all around the room. My wife looked like she was about to cry. Jake had already stepped away from the table like he wanted to disappear. I took a slow breath. Then I said the final thing I had been waiting 2 weeks to say. Congratulations, I told them. You don't have to hide it anymore. Then I grabbed my jacket and walked toward the door. Behind me, the room exploded into chaos. People talking. Chairs moving. Someone shouting Jake's name. But I didn't turn around. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes the best revenge is simply showing the truth. And letting everything fall apart on its own. When the restaurant door closed behind me, the night air felt strangely calm. Inside, everything was probably chaos. People whispering, asking questions, trying to figure out what had just happened. But outside it was quiet. Just the sound of cars passing on the street and the distant noise of the city. I stood there for a moment and took a deep breath. For weeks I had imagined this moment. I thought I would feel angry. I thought I would feel satisfied. But the truth was, I mostly felt tired. My phone started vibrating almost immediately. First it was her. I watched the screen light up with her name. Call. Call again. Then messages. Please pick up. We need to talk. You misunderstood everything. I almost laughed when I read that last one. Misunderstood. Right. Photos don't misunderstand. After a few minutes Jake tried calling too. That one I ignored even faster. I got in my car and started driving home. The same house that had felt normal just a few weeks ago now felt like a completely different place. When I walked inside, the silence was heavy. Her shoes were still by the door. Her jacket still hanging on the chair. Little reminders that this had once been our life. I went upstairs, grabbed a suitcase, and started packing. Not in a rush. Just calmly putting things together. Clothes. Laptop. A few important documents. About 20 minutes later the front door slammed downstairs. She had come home. I heard fast footsteps running up the stairs. Then she appeared in the bedroom doorway. Her makeup was ruined. Mascara running down her face. Her eyes red from crying. What the hell was that, she said. I didn't look up right away. I folded another shirt and placed it in the suitcase. That, I said calmly, was the truth. She shook her head. You embarrassed me in front of my entire company. That sentence actually made me stop. Not because it hurt. Because it told me everything I needed to know. I looked at her. I embarrassed you. Her mouth opened slightly but no words came out. You've been cheating on me for months, I continued. But the worst part of tonight for you was being embarrassed. Tears kept running down her face. It wasn't like that, she said weakly. I zipped the suitcase closed. I followed you, I said. 3 times. Her face went completely blank. Same apartment. Same guy. Same lies. She sat down on the edge of the bed like her legs had suddenly stopped working. I didn't think you would ever find out, she whispered. That sentence hurt more than anything else. Not the cheating. Not the lies. But the fact that she had been so confident she could live 2 lives forever. I picked up the suitcase and walked toward the door. Where are you going? She asked. To my brother's place for now. You're just leaving. I stopped in the hallway and looked back at her. You already left, I said quietly. Just a long time ago. She started crying harder now, but I didn't feel the urge to comfort her anymore. That part of me was gone. I walked downstairs, grabbed my keys, and stepped outside. As I drove away, I realized something strange. For weeks I had been carrying this heavy feeling in my chest. Suspicion. Doubt. Anger. But now it was gone. Not because everything was okay. But because the truth was finally out. No more lies. No more pretending. Just a clean break. And sometimes, that's the closest thing to peace you can get after betrayal. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I post new Reddit stories about cheating, relationships, and crazy life situations every day. And if you have a story like this, feel free to share it in the comments.